Baba tells us that we can reclaim our life of health, wealth, and happiness if we follow godly directions. And up until now, we have been in the influence of devilish directions, Ravanmat. Now, what is godly directions? So, Baba gives us directions every day. But today, Baba also tells us that these directions that we get from Baba are like blessings. And if we take advantage of the blessings, then we don't have to do any hard work. We can move very easily. One is we can ascend. So we have been descending until now. So we can ascend now. We can be in our ascending stage. But that too with ease, without a lot of hard work or labor, if we use these godly directions. You see, in the world also, people tell you, don't get angry, don't have expectations, don't be sorrowful. But it is always told that it is easier said than done. Why it is easier said than done is because it's difficult to just be in that stage without Baba's directions. Baba's directions are not the kind of, don't be sorrowful, don't be stressed, don't get angry. Baba gives us godly directions. And these godly directions make things very easy for us. So you see, when the whole world thinks, these things are very difficult, being peaceful, being pure, being loveful all the time, or being light all the time, not taking stress and tension, people think that it is almost impossible. But when we follow Baba's directions, godly directions, then these very things become very easy for us. And I was just thinking about the directions which are very important to bear in mind. So first thing is being soul conscious. Yes, and you see, we live in a world of matter, and the biggest piece of matter that is always with us is the body. Yes, and sometimes, it's, although we listen a lot about soul consciousness, it's when you check yourself, you feel that you are body conscious all the time. Yes, it could be the age of the body, it could be the health of the body, it could be the skin color, it could be the hair color, it could be the appearance, it could be the weight of the body, it could be anything, it could be some aches and pains of the body. But if you look at it, there is something, some aspect of the body which is always in our awareness. And what we do through the body is another story. Yes, so what we see through the body, what we hear through the body, we are aware of that. That is another story. But first thing is some aspect of the body. Yes, so somebody has gray hairs earlier than they expect, then they are always aware of the gray hair of the body. Or you see, if the skin is a certain tone, then you are aware of the skin color all the time. Or you are aware of health, especially when there is some illness, pain, ache, or age. So you see, when people have bodies that are aging, you hear this constantly. You see, now I'm aged, now I'm aged, now that I've crossed 70, now I've crossed 75. So, and these days you see people say now I've crossed 40. So 40 is the new 70. So you always keep saying these things because you see there's a lot of awareness of the body in the soul. So you see, Baba asks us to be soul conscious, but just these physical aspects also, there's so much in our awareness. And these days, artists are making images of how your ego is burdening you. So they create a very fragile, frail body with a very big head that's full of overthinking about these aspects. And you see, thoughts about things you can't change, they can really make you very drained and heavy. So aspects of the body, even when you talk about ill health or aches and pains, they don't go away by thinking about it. In fact, they increase when you think about it. So Baba tells us that you have to be soul conscious. Ask yourself, for what duration of the day, in your awareness, you are a soul, not a body. You're not carrying your body in your head. You're not carrying your physical aspects in your head. You're carrying your self-image of a beautiful star of light. And you see, there's this one sister, and she always tells me that I think about myself as a star of light. So just like Baba told us that you are not this body, you are a star of light. And she said, I think about myself as a star of light. And earlier, I used to not have the confidence to do many things. Yes, so she said, I always felt, she's 65 years of age of the body. So she said, I felt afraid earlier to take a stool and, get up and take something out of the kitchen shelf. Or I had apprehensions about how much I could walk. Or I had apprehensions about if, my body didn't support me, how will I take care of myself? But she said that when I came into Gyan, I started thinking about myself as a tiny star of light, which is peaceful, powerful, loveful, pure, and the child of the Almighty. And now she tells me that I have overcome at least 70% of my physical limitations. And now I realize that they were not physical, they were psychological. So it was in my mind that I was carrying the limitations of the body, whereas the limitations of the body didn't exist. So the body is fine, it's just an instrument, and I am the one which is operating it. So now I don't feel limited by the body the way I used to. So this is, I'm just talking about right now the image that you're carrying of yourself in your awareness. So how do you think about yourself in your awareness? Do you hold the body in your awareness, or do you hold the form, your powerful, sweet, light form of light in your awareness? Do you see yourself as the star of light, or do you see yourself with your physical aspects? And that makes a huge difference. Then second thing, you see that I am the soul. Baba, when we come to Baba, Baba gives us this exercise that think about yourself as the soul that is seeing through the eyes, that is hearing through the ears, right? So when I'm seeing, especially when you're seeing, are you aware of the seer or the seen? So, do you see the seer or do you see the seen? Because if your buddhi is absorbed in the seen, then you see the seen has total authority over you, and it starts dictating your mind and your feelings. But if you're aware of the seer, that I am the one watching the scene, so let me take the position of a detached observer and let me create the feelings and the thoughts that I want to create in the scene, not those that are dictated by the scene. So it's very interesting when you are soul conscious while seeing. So when you're soul conscious, then the seer is more powerful than the seen. And the seer, I, the soul, the seer, have complete authority to take the position of a detached observer and observe the scene without creating emotions and thoughts which are not in alignment with my purpose. So, this is very important, and soul consciousness gives you so much, freedom and authority, and it makes you a master, whereas we were living the life of a slave until now. So, Baba says that you are the one seeing through the eyes, you are the one hearing through the ears, you are the one speaking through the mouth. So, when you're speaking, are you aware of yourself or are you aware of the audience listening to you? Or are you aware of the person is sitting in front of you? So, you have to be aware of who am I? I am the child of the ocean of sweetness. So, my words should reflect that. The quality of my words is not dictated by who I am talking to. The quality of my words is dictated by who I am. So, you see, godly direction says do everything in soul consciousness and be soul conscious. And if we check properly, we are not soul conscious, and when we do something, then most of the time, the act is what absorbs our buddhi. But Baba says that if you follow this godly direction of being soul conscious whenever, and today Baba laid a lot of emphasis to be a detached observer when you are seeing anything. So you see that you are a soul, take your position as a soul. So you see, when you go to watch a movie, which you don't do now, but earlier you did. So when one goes to watch a movie, what you do is you take a comfortable seat, take your position of comfort, and then watch everything. Yes, and when you do that, then you see you are getting entertained. There is a fight sequence, there is a tragedy going on the screen, and you are just creating thoughts of entertainment. Why? Because you are a detached observer. And sometimes what happens is, or most of the time, when you were not in awareness, when you're not in awareness that I have come here to enjoy, then what happens? You are kind of jumping out of your seat, and it looks like you are one who is participating in the scene that is played on the screen, and you also start creating the same emotions. You're also creating fear or anger or sorrow or grief, and that happens when you have forgotten that you are separate from the scene and you are here to just entertain yourself. And then when you leave the hall, you're all drained and messed up. So Baba says that in life also, you see, you can take your position as a detached observer while seeing every scene. So the soul is sitting on the brikuti, and the soul knows that, I am seeing the scene, and the scene is not me. So I don't have to create any thoughts and feelings which I don't want to create because of the scene. So this is just a scene in drama. Yes, it doesn't mean anything. Scenes come, scenes go. So you can watch everything as a detached observer without creating, without allowing that scene to leave a deep imprint in your subconscious self. So Baba says that this is one big godly direction that Baba has given us. Always be soul conscious. Don't be action conscious, don't be body conscious. Yes, and even when you're performing actions, be aware of the performer, the actor, rather than the act. Then Baba tells us, always be in remembrance of me. Yes, who do you remember? Because you see, remembrance also colors our stage. So Baba tells us that you remember, when you remember the past, the future, when you remember the other, because you see, this machinery of remembrance is such that it is always active. Yes, you are always remembering someone or something. And whether we are doing it consciously or unconsciously, this remembrance is draining us. Yes, and you see, there's this one sister, and she was yesterday telling me that I'm not feeling good. So I said, why? So she said, I have been meaning to call my cousin for 3 days, but I was unable to call her because I was very busy. But all the while, there was a thought in my awareness that I have to call her, I have to call her, I have to call her. And I kept remembering her. And because of that, because of the thought, I'm feeling very anxious because I'm not able to call her. So I did call her few hours back, but for the last 3 days I didn't call her, and that remembrance kept draining me. Yes, so you see that there is a remembrance, there is a yad, whether it is of a person or something that happened or someone, it's always there lurking inside somewhere. And Baba says, you need to close that tap with my remembrance. So otherwise, it's like an open tap that keeps draining your energy, where even when you are not conscious about it. Yes, do you understand this? There is some remembrance all the time draining and sapping your energy. So Baba says that close that drainage tap with my remembrance. So consciously remember me all the time. And Baba says it's not just protecting yourself from further drainage, but it's also about filling yourself with power, because I am the ocean of virtues and knowledge and peace. And when you hold me in your awareness, your mind is also filled with the resonance of my vibration. So this is also another godly direction, the big ones. So soul consciousness, remembrance of Baba, these are big directions. Then Baba asks us to choose purity. Baba tells us that let your thoughts, words and actions, let your body, mind and wealth choose purity. And you see that impurity, this world is impure, right? It's resonating at an impurity, at a vibration of impurity. And Baba says, in order that you vibrate higher, you vibrate better than the frequency of the world, you have to safeguard yourself through these directions that I give. Don't eat the food that people cook in ordinary consciousness or, vicious consciousness. Prepare your food in remembrance of Baba and eat, because as is the food, so is the mind. Yes, and Baba says, don't create karmic accounts by giving your money to those who use it for vicious purposes, because their karmic account will get added up in your karmic account, and although you are not spending your money in any vicious thing, you will feel the burden of that karma. So there are many things that Baba tells us. Don't think about what others are doing or how they are behaving or what is the situation of the world. So purity is another one of Baba's big directions. And then there are many directions that Baba gives about drishti, about attitude. But Baba says these godly directions will help you vibrate higher, will help you, reclaim your kingdom of peace, health, wealth, and happiness. So, this is something that Baba tells. Then today in the Murli, I found some things very interesting. So, Baba says one thing is, don't ask for anything, don't beg. Yes, and in the world, people tell us that you should ask from God. Yes, you should beg to God. And we are always told, that you should have this kind of hands with God. So always begging, always seeking. But Baba says, you don't get anything by begging for it. That's not the law. Yes, people say beggars cannot be choosers. So begging is not the way to get anything. And Baba says, I'm your teacher. If you follow my directions, if you pay attention to the study that I am giving you, you will get everything. You don't need to beg for anything. And anyways, you don't get anything by begging. Have you ever got anything by begging? Begging doesn't give you anything. Even if you beg to God, doesn't matter. And there is something very interesting that Baba says, that people in the world don't know the difference between sorrow and happiness. Yes, and when you understand happiness now, then you understand the contrast between sorrow and happiness. And this is very interesting, yes, because you see, if you go to a psychologist these days, they will show you a chart where there are various emotions. Yes, there are various emotions of a smile, a frown, a cry, being upset, being sorrowful, being angry. Yes, and they will tell you that as a human being, you should be capable of feeling all these emotions. Otherwise, you are a lesser human being. Yes, but so this is how the world has turned right now. So you put happiness and sorrow on the same platform, because in this world you are taught that whenever you're feeling something, that's good. So we don't distinguish between happiness and sorrow. So have you seen that people go and watch stuff which makes them enraged or angry? Yes, and then they come out of that view and they say, we felt very good, it was a great video. Yes, why? Because you don't understand the difference between a violent emotion and a happy emotion. Because these days, emotion means emotion, and you must be capable of feeling emotions. Because most of the time, we are not feeling anything, we have become all dried up. So, whenever any emotion gets triggered, we feel that we are alive. But Baba says that these are not the emotions that are in consonance with the original nature of the soul. And if you keep feeling these emotions all the time, then these emotions will not fill you with spiritual power and worth, they will drain you further. But in the world, we don't make a distinction between these emotions these days. You ask anybody, what is your favorite song? They'll pull up a song that makes them cry. Yes, sad songs. And they say sad songs are my favorite songs. And if you ask them, do you love to cry? They don't know whether they love to cry. But that's how it's become. So people get very happy when they cry. When a song makes them cry, they are happy about it. And it is interesting. So Baba says that you don't understand the difference between sorrow and happiness. People are very happy to be slaves. Yes, so when you miss somebody, when you yearn for somebody, when you don't like anybody's absence, people like that emotion. But that's sorrow. Why do you like it? Why don't you want to be in a place where you don't miss anybody, where you are always able to have good feelings within yourself, whether somebody is present or absent? So that is the kind of that is the kind of confusion we are living in. So we don't know the difference between happiness and sorrow. So, and you see, people like to be in codependent relationships. And you like the phrase, I can't live without you. And when somebody tells you, I can't live without you, you like that very much. But that's such a negative thing, that somebody can't live without you or you can't live without anybody. That's not a good thing to, a good place to be in. Why should anybody's life be dependent on you? Or why should your happiness be dependent on anybody else? So Baba says that you don't understand the difference between happiness and sorrow. You don't even understand the difference between happiness and anger. Yes, people are angry and happy, violent and happy. People are commenting and criticizing and insulting others and happy. Yes, so there is the term also, sadistic pleasure. So there is something, so just think about this word, sadistic pleasure. How can pleasure be sadistic? But we count that as pleasure. So Baba says, you don't understand the difference between happiness, true happiness, and sorrow and these other stuff which is depleting your energy, until I come and teach you about it. And that also, when Baba also teaches, I don't know how much we understand it totally, because it takes a long time to understand these things. And you see, even this phrase that we use, that this person is very fortunate or this person is very unfortunate. Who is a fortunate person? A person who is very dependent and his dependencies are taken care of. And somebody who has learned to survive on their own, somebody who has learned to, take care of themselves. You say this person is very unfortunate, they don't have anybody. But they don't need anybody is a very good thing. So they don't have anybody, but even if you have somebody and you don't need anybody, you are in a place where you are able to take care of your emotions and everything. That's a very good place to be in. So we don't understand these differences until Baba comes. And then Baba today tells us that people say that if God is the Almighty, then He should bring this fly alive. Yes, so this is a very interesting thing. Baba says that this fly just died. Ask God to bring it to life, then I will believe that God is the Almighty. And we only think that, treating the ill or bringing the dead to life is an expression of power. But Baba says, Baba is almighty, Baba is all powerful, because he gives us the power to win over Ravan. Yes, so the vices. And this is a very big secret that people don't know, that your biggest enemy is living inside you. The vices that are lurking inside us are our biggest enemy. And Baba gives us the power to identify this enemy and then win over it. And that is why Baba is called the Almighty. And you always, in Hindi we call asteen ka saap, so a snake that is wounded around the collar. So these vices are like that. They live inside us, they live in our sanskars. And we don't even know that these vices are the reason why we are suffering and why there's so much pain and sorrow and illness in the world. And Baba makes us identify this enemy. And it is only because of Baba that we start understanding that lust, lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed are as enemy. And body consciousness is my enemy. So when we start understanding who is my enemy, and Baba gives us the power and the directions to win over this enemy also. So Baba says, this is why I am called the Almighty, because I am doing what nobody else can do for you. But I am not the Almighty because of the other reasons you think I am the Almighty for. Yes. And then Baba today says that when we talk about these dashas, Rahu and Brihaspati dasha. So Baba says, people say there are omens of Jupiter, omens of Rahu on this one. And then there is a very interesting saying that if you donate, then this omen will be gone. Dedan to chute grahan. So the omen of this eclipse will go away if you donate. So Baba says that if you look at the unlimited state of the world, then this whole world is under the influence of Rahu right now. And what do you have to donate in order that this world is free from those omens of Rahu? You have to donate the consciousness of your body and your bodily religion and relations, and remember me. Yes, because it is the consciousness of the body, the consciousness of the bodily religions and relations that doesn't allow you to remember Baba. So when you donate that, when you give it up, only then this world can be free from the omens of Rahu. So these are some of the points that Baba gives us, and the rest you read in the Murli. Okay, Om Shanti.